Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of 10 Minute Tuesday. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. On today's episode, I got the great Deborah Jones in the building. Deborah, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for taking time out to record. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool, cool, awesome. So we've done a number of these. This is all about the guests and your story. So Deborah, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
As mentioned, my name's Deborah Jones. I've been working in the data field now. Actually, it's been pretty short, 5 years. I'm a career switcher. So, 17 years of my career was a project manager, and then I dived into data, really locked in during COVID. If you want to know a story of someone just basically blowing everything up and starting all over, I'm your girl.
I love that. I love that. So you mentioned blowing it up, switching careers and doing different things, but from project management to data, what really even compelled you to even get into data to begin with?
Sometimes it's just the way that life sort of went. You do have some aspects of data that you're working with in project management, and I found I was doing a little bit, not really delving too much into it. I needed the data to make some decisions. As the role sort of changed, and then I ended up changing careers, I kind of focused more at data near the end of that career, just because there's opportunities to learn. It was more like complex stuff, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just like clicking and following these tutorials. Then once I got a different job and moved, it was as a reporting analyst. So it was a lot of like text-based stuff. But then they started working a lot in SharePoint, which I had always been working with as well. And then Power BI entered my life.
Love it, love it. So done a number of things, project management, SharePoint, Power BI. But one of my favorite questions is get to know the person. And the context of this is I was 16 and I worked in the movie theater selling popcorn, or I did something like that. What's been your least favorite job to date that you've ever had, and why did you dislike it?
Oh, I worked at a gas station a little bit. So I've been working since I was 14. So I started at McDonald's and I didn't hate McDonald's. I actually thought it was like a good career starter. Like I loved it. But the gas station by far was the worst. And I did that just to get myself through like a little business college. So I was doing that and going to school. I hated that job so much. But
So always been grinding. You always been getting after it, and
always,
yeah.
always. Yeah.
Love it,
Yeah.
love it, love it. All right, so the concept I live by and philosophy I like to introduce on the show is called failing forward. So you never really fail; you just learn from the lessons that you are exposed to. So thinking about that, what would you consider your biggest failure in your career? Quotation marks around failure, and what did you learn from that experience?
Um, I would say that the biggest failure would have been when I'm excited about something. So there's initiatives that I will work on or have ideas, and in my mind it makes so much sense, and that's one thing. But in other people's minds, it might not for various reasons, right? So we've got, people that have been working there for a long time. I'm the new kid on the block, etc. So I'm so excited. No, it's going to be great, and then you're going to get someone that just grinds it to a halt, and it's like so devastating. And I wasn't good at taking that feedback because it was like, no, this makes sense. But sometimes you have to recognize like all the underlying issues, and it's the same reaction that I would have as well too, but that comes with maturity and time. So
Yeah.
I would say my biggest failure would be like pushing people when they're just not ready.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah.
love that. I love it. I feel like that's something that my target audience is like people who are starting out in their career or trying to get into data and stuff. And I feel like that's a soft skill that no one talks about of the
Yeah.
people who might have been doing things for like the last 30, 40, 20 years, and how much of a hindrance that can be at
Yeah,
times.
for sure.
Um, and so, like, thinking about that, I think I'm going off the questions a little bit, but how did you kind of overcome that internal frustration that came along with, here's this big idea, here's this grand idea that I love. I want to get buy-in and feedback and trying not to take that personal. Like, how did you go about getting around that?
I think it's separating the job itself from being a reflection of you. So I think sometimes when we get that rejection or that failure, you're thinking it's you, and it's not you. It's just this particular situation, this particular process. So separating that, but then also like thinking in the context of, putting yourself in the other person's shoes, which isn't always easy to do, but there's so much other context that we're not aware of at that time. So it's just slowing down, stepping back, and realizing like it's not forever. Like nothing ever lasts forever. So eventually something will change. Maybe this is not the time. So just recognizing that this is not your forever situation. It's not a reflection of you, and then you'll have another opportunity to try it again.
Love that, and I need to hear that today. So thank you for that advice, Deborah. Fantastic stuff. All right, so as I mentioned, target audience people starting out in their career. So thinking about that, going from project management to data, you've seen really the full array of you have a project management, you implement it, you develop, so on and so forth. Right. So thinking about that, what's one piece of advice you give someone who's just starting out in their career?
I would say, like personally for me, I would say not to be title driven. Sometimes we can kind of get caught in that hype cycle of like a title. And for example, like you know my title here, and we don't know what it means, right? So it doesn't really mean anything. I think if you're able to find some level of fulfillment in your job, it's not always going to be, we never said that, my goal was to sit in a cubicle and type on things all day, but there are pockets and pieces of your job that can bring you joy, right? So it's find those things and just really lean into it. So my day to day, I've got like my instructions of what I need to do, but then there's also these little projects that I can work on as well that kind of help me be better. So I would say for like somebody new, like don't be afraid that, it's not exactly the way that you envisioned it right at the offset, because it's that way for everybody. But find these opportunities to like do something new or something that kind of weaves in your joys into it. So like whether that's volunteering for something, like there's always opportunities at work where people are like, I'm looking for somebody to do this. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll try it, see what it is. So definitely, put yourself out there, like volunteer for stuff. Do, put your hand up, not for everything, so you don't get burned out, but don't be afraid to do that.
I love that. I love that. That's so great advice. And it's so true, right? There has to be a moment of balance where you're doing things that still drive you. Like you have to deliver what you're on,
Yeah.
but there has to be things that, that make you happy, the fulfillment and stuff that goes along with it. That isn't part of the title. It's like, I actually like these things. So I actually
Yeah,
want to develop it. And you find yourself doing your best work when you're doing things you like
for
doing
sure.
too.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Deborah, tell me about the most influential people in your life and how they made an impact on you.
I would say my grandmother, and my dad. So my background is Jamaican. They were immigrants. My dad never finished school, but he became so excellent at his craft that he was highly sought after. So when he was growing up, it wasn't a time when, Black people were accepted, and he just always wanted to prove and be that much better. So I feel like I got that work ethic in me from him. Um, and it's the fact that he's so good at what he does. So he does like painting, like so he paints cars and like very specific like repairing like auto body work and stuff like that. And people will drive to Toronto to his home now. He is
Wow.
retired to get
Wow.
things fixed and everything. So just seeing that full circle, because on paper, who are you? But they just love him. And then my grandma, obviously, just coming up helping raise us as well too. She didn't take crap from anybody. She was just like true tried Jamaican woman. She was the best. So those are my inspirations for sure.
Man, big shout out to grandma. Big shout out to pops, man. Master of the
Yeah.
craft. Still getting after it. Still doing it. Love it, man. Love it. All right,
Yeah.
Deborah, where can listeners find you out online?
I'm not a big social media person, so you can find me on LinkedIn. That's
Okay.
it.
Add Deborah on LinkedIn in 2026.
Yeah.
We'll get her a YouTube channel, some blogs, some content. We'll get her out there. The world needs to know her information, so we'll get you.
Getting there.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, Deborah, thank you so much for taking time out today. This is great.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
no problem, no problem. And as I said in the beginning, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll talk to you all next week. Y'all have a great day.